The Trump campaign has spent millions on political ads in battleground states, including Vice President Harris, of supporting taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries for prisoners and migrants. According to NPR, such ads have run more than 30,000 times, primarily during NFL and college football games, events with high male viewership. The problem? It's a policy that was actually carried out by the Trump administration. A new report by the New York Times finds that, and I'll quote from it, Trump appointees at the Bureau of Prisons provided an array of gender-affirming treatments, including hormone therapy, for a small group of inmates who requested it during Mr. Trump's 4 years in office. In a February 2018 budget memo to Congress, Bureau officials wrote that under federal law, they were obligated to pay for a prisoner's surgery if it was deemed medically necessary. Legal wrangling delayed the first such operation until 2022. The paper continues. Transgender offenders may require individual counseling and emotional support, officials wrote. Medical care may include pharmaceutical interventions, which includes cross-gender hormone therapy, hair removal, and surgery, if individualized assessment indicates surgical intervention is applicable. The statement, in part, reflected guidelines that officials in the Obama administration released shortly before they left office. The most significant change the Trump administration made in the treatment guidelines after it took over was the addition of the word necessary, which created a higher but not insurmountable barrier to federally funded surgeries. In an email to the Times, the Trump campaign said the former president has never forcefully advocated for transgender inmates to be able to get transition surgery. So, Joe, another example of rank hypocrisy from the Trump administration, as well as more disinformation.
Was it a Trump policy? They actually looked at that policy and added wording to it. So it's not like they didn't know they had that policy where prisoners can receive gender-affirming care. Trump policy.
They sent these documents to Congress. They sent them to Congress to talk about gender-affirming care that prisoners may be able to. You know, I watch football as well as you, Jonathan, and I have seen these ads run non-stop. I've got to say, it's up to the Harris campaign to actually, and I'm glad we have somebody from there, communication director from the Harris campaign, to actually
I'm sure he's happy to be here.
Push back. So let me ask you, Michael Tyler, 30,000 ads. 30,000 ads showing Kamala Harris in a forum. Oh, yeah, I do this.
It's the law.
It's the law. It's the Trump law. These are Donald Trump's documents from the Justice Department. This is what Donald Trump's Justice Department sent to Congress. Let me say this again. This is what Donald Trump's Justice Department sent to Congress, talking about the, quote, gender-affirming care that inmates would need to get. Taxpayer-funded gender-affirming care. Now, I've got to say, it sounds like a crazy idea to me. And we could have that debate at another time. And I will say, it sounds like a crazy idea to a lot of Americans. But we can have that debate another time. I guess my question is, how does the Harris-Walz campaign allow 30,000 commercials on NFL programs to have Donald Trump take some words that Kamala Harris said out of a forum in 2019, when at the same time his administration, his Justice Department,
there's a real answer to it,
advocating for this? What is it, Michael? What's the answer?
Yeah, I think the vice president spoke to this when she sat down with Bret Baier, calling out exactly the point that you've been making, that not only will she follow the law as president, as she has done as vice president, but this is exactly what the Trump administration itself was doing and implementing when they were in power, right? I think the reason that the Trump campaign is doing this, I think they're doing it for a couple of reasons, frankly. Number one, they don't actually want to have a conversation about health care in the United States of America when you have a candidate who is talking about terminating the ACA or repealing the $35 cap on insulin. They don't want to have a conversation about health care that affects all 350 million people in the United States of America. They want to hone in on hypocritic attacks that are meant to divide and sow chaos, right, in the final weeks of this campaign. They also, the reason that they're spending millions of dollars in this misleading attack is the fact that they don't have a candidate who is up for the job in the final stretch of the campaign. You guys aired the Howie Kurtz interview. You've seen him over the course of the weekend where he gets up on the stage and instead of offering his closing argument as his campaign said he was going to, talks about Arnold Palmer's manhood, or goes again on Fox News and talks about geese and cats and dogs. They don't have a candidate who is up to the task in the final stretch, so their only tool is this paid media campaign down the final stretch. What this campaign is going to do is be clear-eyed about the vice president's vision, and we're going to continue to put Donald Trump's nonsense front and center in front of the American people. So whether they are hiding their candidate or not, we are going to make sure that he is exposed over the course of the final 15 days of this campaign.
Communications Director for the Harris-Walz campaign, Michael Tyler, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. Thank you.
Can you believe this?
Jonathan I can't believe it, actually. That's no surprise to me, but it will be a surprise to some watching football.
Jonathan
who think it's just a crazy Kamala idea.
U.S. Department of Justice.
Trump.
U.S. Department of Justice. Federal Bureau of Prisons Director Mike Inch. Transgender Offender Manual. Dated May 11th, 2018. And they go through and they talk about all the things they need to do for transgender inmates are people that may want transgender what do they call it? Gender affirming care. Gender affirming care. Management of offenders with transgender needs. Now, I will say again, offending many people in this audience, I don't get this. I just don't. Like, taxpayer-supported dollars for this.
Well,
right?
It's very complicated.
It's very complicated. Yes, we'll just say that for some people it's very complicated. No, but I just say that to say we can have that debate at another time. The debate we cannot have is how hypocritical the Trump campaign has been, running 30,000 ads during NFL games to impact black male voters, Hispanic male voters, working class white male voters. That's why they say they're doing it. That's their target audience. They're doing this because of what Kamala said in the 2019 forum. While Donald Trump's Justice Department, Donald Trump's, the head of his Bureau of Prisons, was sending instructions to Congress about gender affirming care and possibly surgery, taxpayer funded surgery. This is the Donald Trump trans plan right here. And for the life of me, I don't understand how the Harris campaign allows 30,000 commercials to run on NFL games. And they're sitting there going, and this is just a truly liberal Democratic thing to do, I guess. Some people on the campaign scratching their heads going, this isn't a real issue. And then they're going, why are we losing black men and Hispanic men and working class white men? And they go, we don't think this ad is having an impact. Oh, really? It's not having an impact? Why are they running the ad 30,000 times?
Yeah, those ads are
Jonathan
everywhere.
O'Leary, to you, my friend.
Those ads are. Thank you, Joe. Those ads are everywhere, and in particular in the battleground states. As I mentioned last week, I was just in suburban Philadelphia, and the Trump ads, a lot of immigration to be sure, but this was the number 2 topic, despite that has such a narrow wedge issue. This was the number 2 topic. They feel like they're onto something here, and we just fact check it in one way, as you just laid out. Let's just reiterate one date. That order from the DOJ, dated May 11th, 2018. Donald J. Trump was president.
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, the Transgender Offender Manual. This is Donald Trump's
Justice Department.
Transgender Offender Manual.
And
guidance
taxpayer
on
funded
transgender surgeries, gender affirming care in Donald Trump's prisons
I'm
when
shocked.
he was president.
hypocrites.
Just responding to that soundbite they keep running of Kamala Harris talking about
From a
that
forum.
happening in prisons and being the law. Trump's policy.
Again, Justice Department memos to Congress from Donald Trump.
Okay.
Right? And they're getting a clip from Kamala Harris at a forum? Really?
Confirming what the law is.